Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining today. We are lucky again to have Kenneth Steinis walk us through another exciting topic for project and portfolio management. So without a further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kenneth.
Thanks, Raja. Yes, good morning and welcome everyone. So today's topic is Microsoft Project from any device with cloud apps. It's one of my personal favorite topics here. So I'm Kenneth Steinis, your presenter today. I am the founder and managing partner at Sensei Project Solutions and also a virtual technology solutions professional with Microsoft. So we work very, very closely with Microsoft on both on the engineering side and as well as the sales side in the field. It's been my dream for many, many years to publish a book that really takes PMI's practice standards and combines that with best practices on scheduling for Microsoft Project. So just over a year ago, we released Proactive PPM with Microsoft Project 2013, and it's very much a process-focused book with a practical approach to project and portfolio management. And a lot of these tips and tricks that we've been doing have been little snippets out of this one, but today is a little bit of a departure from that. It's about the cloud app model specifically. A little bit about Sensei. We are the 2014 Partner of the Year for Project and Portfolio Management, so we're very proud of that. We have done literally hundreds and hundreds of project server deployments, project online deployments. We've trained thousands of project managers and team members in the process, and our team is certified on the entire technology stack as well as on the process side for project management and so on. So you might have seen when you came into the meeting today that I had put up a poll. Let's go back to that poll and see if it's refreshing for me here. So if you haven't replied already, please go ahead and reply, and I will come back and explain in a little bit what this actually is, because this is another cloud app. But I'd like to get a little bit of data in here. So go ahead and reply to this. I think you should have in your there's another response coming in. You should have this information in the chat window of the link session as well. All right, let me fast forward here again. So so today's topic again, Microsoft Project from any device with cloud apps. It's been just about 7.5 years ago since the launch of the iPhone and what's now the traditional app model as we know it today. And I'm willing to bet I also believe that everyone has downloaded or used an app at some point, whether that's a social media app, communications app, maybe a productivity app, or an app to access your bank account, or even if it's to play Angry Birds. So I'll assume for this webcast that you're all familiar with the traditional model. So with Office 2013, Microsoft has launched an Apps for Office model, which means that we can use apps inside of Word, inside of Excel, inside of PowerPoint, and inside of Outlook, much like we use them on our phones today. So the possibilities are really endless. And I'd like to start here just to get you some context here. Now, I realize, of course, that this is about project, and we will get back to that. But in the interest of kind of sharing what the model does, we're actually going to start off in Excel. And I have an Excel spreadsheet here. Here's some app sales numbers that I'd like to report on. But I don't just want to do a traditional spreadsheet. I really want to do some pizzazz around this here. So I'm going to go up to my insert ribbon here, and there's a new section here called the apps section. So it has the store, my apps, and then it has a couple of apps that I've used recently here. I'm going to just grab them from in here though, so you see, get a better feel for this. So these are the apps that I'm using right now for Excel. I'm going to start with this guy here called the People Graph. It's a really nice little app. So the People Graph allows me to plot my numbers and get some really nice visuals around them. I'm going to start by selecting my data. So I'm selecting my data here. And then, I meant to also change the title here, 2014 App Sales. Okay, so that's good. And then I really don't want people here. I want maybe a different shape. I'm going to pick a bag of money here, like this. So now I've just inserted an app into my spreadsheet that reads the data in my spreadsheet and gives me a nice little visual. And now I can right-click and I can either copy this and just paste it into my PowerPoint, or I can save it as a picture. So that's one example here. I really like this one. I've used this one for a number of different presentations that I've done recently. I'm going to show you just a couple more here of my favorite. I'm going to go to a different tab here, and we'll show you a couple more Excel ones. I have some data here around sales by state and profit and revenue and expenses. So I'm going to use an app here called the Geographic Heat Map app that allows me to see, using red, yellow, and green, where I'm doing well and where I'm not doing so well. So this app here, again, I need to select my data. That's the right data. I'm going to say that this is my profit by state. And now I see just a very nice and clear picture. I'm obviously not doing very well up in Washington, but I'm doing great in Texas at the moment. So I really like this one too. Great for visualization of data in this case here. Now let me do one more of those. I'm going to use Bing Maps for this one. I'm going to grab all my data, the profit, the revenue, the expenses, everything. And no, I don't want the sample data. And I'm going to actually show my locations. So now I'm going to zoom in to the different locations here, and now I see a pie chart that shows profit, revenue, and expenses in the different areas in my spreadsheet. So that's just another one that I really like. All right, let's move on to Word for a couple of examples over here. So I'm working on an article for MPOC at the moment, which should be released here in the next few months. And I really want to include a word cloud, if you're familiar with those. I want to include a word cloud in the introduction. So I go up and I look at my apps up here. And I happen to have a couple of word cloud apps, but I like this one here, the Pro Word Cloud app. I'm going to insert this app. Now this is a different type of app. You'll notice this runs in the task pane on the right-hand side. The previous one we saw in Excel is called a content app, and this is a task pane app. And hopefully this launches here in a second. What this allows me to do is select the text on the left-hand side that I want to work with, and then I can generate a word cloud from that. I'm going to go ahead and create a word cloud. So it's going to start generating that for me. Let's give it a second here. And actually, I already know that I'm going to want to pick a different font, but we'll do that in a minute. Let's give that a second to come up. All right, so here's my first cut at a word cloud. That doesn't quite fit what I'm looking for, just in terms of style and format and so on. I want something that's a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to pick a different font, and I'm going to pick a different color scheme. I'm just going to choose black on white. Keep it simple. I'm going to regenerate the word cloud here, and then I'm going to insert it into my document. All right, here we go. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come over in here to my article and insert that right here. Great, wonderful, looks awesome. I'm going to go with that. Now, I've been working with a partner over in Germany who's particularly interested in this topic here, and they've asked if I could translate some of this for one of their clients. So for that, I'm going to use a different app, the Translator App, in fact. So the Translator App will let me choose some text. I'm going to choose just a couple of paragraphs for this example. It's going to auto-detect that this is, in fact, English. And I'm going to go in and choose that I want to translate into German. And now it translates everything I just wrote to German right inside the app. And I can insert the German text here instead. So pretty neat as well. Hopefully you're starting to get a feeling for just the power of these apps inside of Office as well. All right, so let us move on and look at what we came here to talk about, which is apps for Project and apps for SharePoint. So the principle is very similar to what you're used to on your mobile devices. There are some differences, and you actually probably have more powerful functionality available here than you do on your phones. So Microsoft and a number of different partners around the world are busy right now developing these innovative new apps that add functionality and improve the overall user experience, both inside of Microsoft Project and in the browser, and across to other devices like your phones and your iPads and your tablets, your Windows 8 tablets, your Android devices, and so on. I'm going to start us off inside of Microsoft Project, though. So let's open up just a simple project schedule here. Here's my strategic project X. Maybe I'm new to project management and scheduling, and I'm not really sure whether I'm doing a good job on this schedule, on these tasks. So I'm going to insert an app here that is the Task Analyzer, which analyzes my tasks as I go. Now I'm going to close the Getting Started experience here and come back to the Analyzer. So what this is doing is, as I select a task on the left-hand side, like I have selected deployment plan now, on the right-hand side, the app will tell me whether this particular line item is compliant with the scheduling checks that my organization has selected. If I go through to the next one here, I can see that on Gather Business Requirements, there are no resources assigned. On the milestone here, External Dependency, I see that there is a constraint, which might be okay, but we want to make sure that we monitor constraints and use them very carefully. On the next line here, it tells me that this task name appears to be too short. It should be verb-driven, action-oriented, and specific. Next line, I have a blank schedule. Next one, I have a blank line. And here I have a missing predecessor, and so on. And this last one here, I have no resources, no predecessor, and I have a duration longer than 15 days, which we've identified is a potential issue. So let's look at what these checks are. We perform checks for work breakdown structure, for resources, for links, and general schedule checks. So the way these work is we can either ignore a check altogether if we've decided that it's not an issue for our organization, or something can be severe, so it's an issue. It can be a warning, or it can be a message. And you get a little bit of help over here as well, just telling you what the issue is. So it's a great training tool from that perspective as well. So that's an example of that app. I'm going to close that. And let me switch over to a different schedule. And that app that you just saw was actually the very first app that was built under this new cloud app model for Microsoft Project on the desktop. So that was the very, very first one. That came out a couple of years ago. And there are some new and exciting things underway for that, where you can actually check the whole schedule and get some reports and look across schedules and things like that. Next, we're going to look at a different app that also runs as a task pane app, but it's actually a SharePoint app. It's a SharePoint app that reads your Project Server 2013 or your Project Online environment and pulls together some data to do some great reporting here. So what you're looking at on the right-hand side is you're looking at these colored tiles here. It kind of has a Windows 8 look and feel, and if you mouse over them, you can see that these bounce up and down here. Now, the top tile, that's my project data. The green tile tells me typically the first 5 things somebody would ask for. When are we going to finish? How much is the project going to cost? How far along are we? And do we have any issues and risks? And I could click through and look at the detailed data here, which I'm going to skip right now. The next tile, the blue tile, gives me some analysis on the project schedule. Things like, do we have slipping tasks, missed deadlines, tasks that are due soon, and so on. I'm going to go take a look in here a little bit. So I'm going to click on this guy. Now it pulls up my slipping tasks, and I can see that I have tasks that are more than 5 days, between 2 and 5 days, and less than 2 days slipping. So I want to look at the most severe one. So I just click on the piece of the pie chart here to see those tasks that are slipping more than 5 days, and here they are. And I can see 3 of them are tasks, and 1 is a milestone, as indicated by the little diamond right here. I can see that it's 23 days late. When was it supposed to finish? When is it now scheduled to finish? And so on. So really cool stuff here as well. I can also rotate to the right up here, just like you would on a Windows phone. You can slide to the right and look for missed deadlines, tasks that are due soon, tasks that are starting soon, over allocations, and so on. Now, so this particular app is actually available in 3 flavors, both here inside a project, as well as on your iPad, or as a Windows 8 app. So I'll come back to that. Next, I want to look at some of my SharePoint data. The 4 smaller tiles on the bottom here pull in my SharePoint data. For example, I may want to see the documents that I have in my document library. So here are the 6 documents related to this project right here. If I want to see the latest project status report, I simply click on that PDF, and it jumps me out to the project site. And here's my latest project status report for this particular project. So really, really nice integration here between the app and Project Online in this case. All right, let's go back. And then issues and risks and deliverables are all very similar. So I pull up my issues list here, and I can see issues that are in the past, or due in the past, due this week, due this month, due next month. And I can even go up and do some filtering on this. And I can say maybe I only want to see issues that are assigned to Diane, or I want to see high priority issues assigned to Diane, and so on. You get the idea. Now, it's a little bit easier for me to demo the Windows 8 version of this rather than the iPad, so I'm going to pull up the Windows 8 version here so you can kind of see that. Let's give that a chance to log in. But this same concept is available on the app, so project managers and executives can go to their iPad and pull up this exact same information. So here's the Windows 8 version of it. Again, if I touch my oh, it's going to give me my navigation here. If I touch this, the blue tile, it's going to pull up my slipping tasks, my missed deadlines, my due soon, starting soon, and so on. So see a lot of similarities here. All right, great. Well, I have several other things I want to show you, so I am going to move on here. As we go along, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the message window, and we'll definitely come back and talk about that. All right? So these are examples of apps that live inside a project. Now let's go take a look at apps that are designed specifically for Project Online or Project Rep app, whether it's online or Project Server. So here's a portfolio dashboard app that allows us to do some analysis of our data. And I have 5 different sections here. I have an overview section, a project section, tasks, resource, and content. So I want to actually look at my projects. I want to look at the portfolio of projects and identify which ones have the greatest variance, greatest finish variance, cost variance, and work variance. So now this is looking across the entire portfolio. Actually, we're looking at this year's projects if you look up here in the portfolio dropdown. So these are the projects that I'm running this year. I can see that I have a project here, the apparel ERP upgrade, that looks like it has a lot of variance, about $500,000 in variance, cost variance, and it's also running 115 days late, so that's not great. In the table below, I can see the matching data down here. These are the individual projects for finish variance, for cost variance, which here's that project we have highlighted above, and for work variance. Now, if I want to go look at the detailed data behind this is a click-through portfolio dashboard app. So this is a SharePoint app that allows me to plug and play dashboard modules to build the exact dashboard that I want to look at. So here I can see for this project that I have 73 slipping tasks. I have 37 tasks with cost overruns. I have 15 tasks with work overruns. I'm missing 9 deadlines. And then the tables below will give me the supporting data. So if I want to see which deadlines I'm missing, I can come right here, and it shows me exactly which deadlines I'm missing. I can also go look at which active issues we have from the SharePoint site, and it looks like we have 2 active issues here. And if I want to go look at these, I can simply click on it, and it will jump me over to that issue on the site. But I'm going to go back to the app here. Next section for this particular project is the executive summary. This allows me to take a look at something that I can grab a screenshot of and put it in a PowerPoint presentation or an executive and look at just the key data. You see some of the key data highlighted in red. We're 115 days late. $492,000 cost variance. And you can see the current project milestones and the variance down here in the table, as well as the active project summary. So this pulls together some of these different pieces right here. Let's just look at a couple more things in here, and then we'll look at how these are customized. So here I'm looking at the resource dashboard. The resource dashboard lets me quickly see which resources have issues in the portfolio. The first chart here shows me top resources by demand. So I can see that Alex has the capacity this year to do just over 2,000 hours worth of work, but he's actually assigned over 3,000 hours worth of work. So if I want to see what's causing that, I can simply click on Alex's data bar here and go in and look at specific issues related to Alex. Let me go back up one step again here. The other thing resource managers want to know is they want to see a resource heat map. They want to see where we have over allocations and underutilizations. In this case, because this is this year's projects, it's looking at it by month, January through December, red, yellow, green. Definition of green is you're above a certain percentage, yellow you're getting close to zero, and there's an orange in there too, and then red means you're over allocated. So you get the idea here. Now let's go back, all the way back to the home page here. The idea behind these apps is that you can tailor them to be what you need them to be. For example, I may not want to see this chart over on the right-hand side here. It's a nice chart, but I really want to get more real estate for the first two charts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my options, and I'm going to design this page and choose a different layout. I don't like the 2x3 layout. Maybe I want the 2x2 layout. That gets rid of that third one. And if I want a different chart on here, I can find my task discrepancies by severity chart, drag and drop that, replace here. So I'm basically building, using these, a library of chart components. I'm building my own dashboard, and then I can filter based on what data I want to see. So we've been in the, it's just going to update for a second here. We've been in this year's projects, but if you have a major program, you could filter to show just projects related to that major program, or last year's projects, or next year's projects, or major active initiatives, and so on. So now I have my new chart in here. Now I see slipping tasks, cost overruns, missed deadlines, work overruns, instead of the other two charts we had a minute ago. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I want to talk about the store itself, as well as some great other apps that some of our partners have provided out there. But Roger, are there any questions about what we've covered so far before I move on?
Kenneth, I do not see any questions typed into the chat window.
Okay.
So folks, if you have any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or type in the question. Wait, there's just one question that came up just now, Kenneth. It says, John has a question, not clear on how to obtain these apps. So maybe you can spend a little bit of time talking about how to go about getting these.
That's exactly what we're going to do next. So I'm going to talk about the App Store, both for Office and for SharePoint. So let me actually just go into Project and show you guys. So I'm going to go back into Microsoft Project here. And earlier when I launched my apps, I have the ability to go to the store directly from here, or launch this little guy, which shows me the apps that I already have, or I can switch to the store side. So these are the apps out in the store. So this is one way I can get there. And I know that my good friend Rose over at Quantum PM, they've built this great little app called a Q-Check IT. So I'm going to just take a look at that. And, you know, I've heard good things about this app, and I'd like to try it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and try it here. Trust it. And now it loads the app, and there it is. So now I can go ahead and look at some of the same tasks that I did before, and it will do some metrics and reporting against my project schedule here. So very, very easy for some of these Office apps, I'll call them. The other way you can go about doing this, is you can go into the store online. And you get to the store, I'll just type it in up here so you can see the URL, at office.microsoft.com/store. That launches Apps for Office right here. Then you select whether you're looking for an Excel app, an Outlook app, a PowerPoint app, a Project app, a SharePoint app, or a Word app. So if I want to look for project apps, I come here and it gives me some of the featured ones here, but I can also click and drill in and see more apps in this particular space. If I want to look for SharePoint apps or project management specific apps, I can click on a category over here on the left-hand side. Actually, let me go back first. So don't have this filter here. Let's just do this. So I can click for project management apps, and it will pull up all of the project management related apps across the store. Here's Quantum PM's app that we just installed in the client. Here's the dashboard app we saw a minute ago. And if I want to look for one that's actually a SharePoint app. So let me forward here just a little bit. There are lots of apps out here now. You can also search for apps. So you can search for keywords for what you're trying to do. For example, if you're trying to do bulk updates in your project server or project online environment, you can search for bulk edit or bulk update, and that'll find some. So here is, in fact, the bulk update. So let's take a look at this. So this is a, yes?
So sorry to interrupt. There's a question here from someone. I don't know what the name is. The indicator says guest. It says, do the apps work on Microsoft standalone, meaning without SharePoint?
Yes. So there are two flavors here. There are standalone ones and there are server ones. It's a very good question. I may have just gone over that relatively quickly before. So let me give you an example here. Earlier, when I started out in the client, I started showing you the different apps. I have 5 apps here. The first 4, I happen to know these are all standard, so desktop apps. But the 5th one, you need to be connected to the server. So there are some that you need the server for, some that are targeted at the server, and there are a lot of them that are just desktop only. So the task analyzer that we saw earlier, you can absolutely use that standalone. This QCheck IT, you can absolutely use that standalone as well. Great question. Okay. Go back to my store. So you saw the purchase experience that I could do it straight inside of the client if I'm buying a client app. If I'm buying a SharePoint app, then you need to do it from the store because the process is a little bit different. A SharePoint administrator has to buy it and then assign licenses in the SharePoint farm to the users that you want to use the specific app. So here's an example of an administrator app. And remember, these are business apps. These are full-fledged business apps. This is an app that allows you to go update, say, 50 projects at a time or 100 projects at a time. You might have a sponsor that leaves the organization and you want to move all of those projects over to the new sponsor. You would simply search or filter for the projects that are currently with sponsor A. Then you would say apply sponsor B, and it would go ahead and do a bulk update and publish the update for you. That is something that is otherwise very, very time consuming in Project Server and Project Online. So this is an administrator app that allows you to do that. So to buy that, you would come in here and you would click the buy experience here. You get a unique tag here that you then paste into into SharePoint, and then from there you can distribute that particular license. I'm not going to go through and continue the purchase on this one, but that's how you purchase it in the store here. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay. All right. So I want to talk about just a couple of different apps here too, just to give you some ideas of what people are doing out there. Projectum, a company of Denmark, has built this great little project snapshot app. It allows you to go in and say, I would like to take a snapshot of what my data looked like Monday morning at such and such time, and maybe I do that every Monday morning. And so now you can do trend analysis. So you can say, I'm yellow this week, I was green last week. So, I'm not going in the right direction here. So that allows you to do snapshots on almost anything in the Project Server, Project Online database. So that's a great little app. And that brings up a good point. With this app model, you can have providers from around the world provide apps and solutions that are secure and delivered through the Microsoft App Store and App Experience. And all of these apps have been tested and validated by Microsoft. So this is one example. Another one that I really like is TPG has this risk chart app. Basically what that does is it plots your risks, as you can see in the screenshot here. It plots how many risks you have at a certain impact and probability percentage. So I have one that has just about an 80% probability and an impact of 8. So that's definitely something we want to monitor here. So that's the risk chart app here. I already talked to you about the bulk update app, and I guess we'll show you this one here. What we didn't show you was the phone app, and if there are no more questions, then I'll pull up a quick little video of the phone app so you can get a feeling for that. So, Ryan, do you know if there are any questions?
Not at this time, Kenneth.
All right. So we can still use the traditional model, but what you've seen is the new cloud app model. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the traditional model with the phones involved here. So let me this is probably going to be a little bit choppy through link, but you'll get the idea anyways here.
Can you could you also share the link for the YouTube video in the chat window, Kenneth?
Yes, absolutely, will do.
Thank you.
I'll do that in just a second here. So I'm going to pause it so you can see a couple of these screens here. Especially with Office 365 and the Project Online solution, that is completely open to the app space across all platforms. So whether you're on an Android tablet or an iPhone or a Windows phone, doesn't matter. So here is an example of how team members can participate using an app on their phone. So a lot of times, a lot of the organizations we work with have their team members do task updates or timesheets. Now we push these task updates out to the phone. The team member can go in and look at the individual tasks, which is the view you're seeing now, and scroll between what's current, what's overdue, what's new, what's incomplete, and so on. Or we can launch the full-fledged timesheet here. This is just going to first show how to update an individual task. So to update an individual task, I would simply click on it, say edit, and now I can enter my finish date, my actual work, my percent complete, my remaining work, all depending on what your organization has configured. And then I can either save it or I can send the update into my project manager. Or, like I said, you can run the full-fledged timesheet on here, where it pulls up your Monday through Sunday in this case, and I put in my actuals and I adjust my remaining if need be, and then you submit the timesheet from here as well. So that's an example of that. So the question was, could I share let's see here. I'm just going to copy this over into the chat window. There are a couple other videos out there that you may want to take a look at that are quite useful as well. Let's go back to our poll and see if any more folks responded here. It's been a little bit slow to update for me this morning, so let's see if I can get this to update. All right, so
Give me 1 second to type in to paste that URL one more time, Kenneth. Sorry, I forgot to do that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let me go back to. Okay, bear with me 1 second, guys. I have this. What I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, because this is an example of a PowerPoint app. If you would click this link here in the chat window, and just enter your response on what version you're doing, then I will attempt to show you here how we can use an app in a PowerPoint presentation. So this is a live app from Poll Everywhere, and as people submit their responses online, you see it just updated here, or they or they tweet the answer, or they send a text message in, this chart will update live. So I've used this multiple times as we've done different events, and it's a really cool way to interact with your audience. And this is an app. So in PowerPoint, what you do is you go to the same place, Insert, and you go to Apps. And here I have my Poll Everywhere app that I can use and just kick off, very, very easily kick off a poll here. So it looks like we have 83% of you using 2013 and 17% of you using 2010. That's great.
We have a question in the chat window, Kenneth.
Yes.
Raj wants to know, if I'm using the apps with my Project Online instance, how is my data confidentiality maintained? Does my data leave the Office 365 instance to the app vendor location for presentation in the app?
Does it leave the, okay, so the answer is it depends on the platform. The platforms that we develop on, the app itself might run somewhere else, but there's no data going to the app provider's website. So that is all secure. On the iPhone version, you're basically logging in from your phone just as if you were using the browser on your iPhone or your iPad, no different. So that doesn't go there either. I'm trying to think if there's any platforms like that. No, there's no data that goes to a third party anywhere in any of this. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second. It's a good question. Very good question. And the data is also encrypted in transit there.
Okay, no more other questions at this time.
Okay, wonderful. So I was waiting to see if there were a few more answers that came in. So if you have, I'd encourage you to try this out. There are just some great apps out there. A lot of them are either free or they have a trial version that you can run. And over time, I think this is just gonna absolutely explode for Microsoft Project. And if you have any suggestions for topics for future tips and tricks, we would love to hear from you on that. I did leave quite a bit of time for questions today, so please do ask them if you have them. Otherwise, I'd also encourage you to join us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and our YouTube channel. I put a link in there just a minute ago. So please join us on social media, and you can see lots of other good stuff out on the YouTube channel. So let's give everybody a few more minutes to see if we have questions, Raja.
Yeah, there's one other question that just came in from John. It says, I missed the previous webinar. Is there a recording available? Would you mind if I take that, Kenneth?
Please, go ahead.
So, John, yes, we do have recordings available for at least 2 of them. I'm trying to think. The first one I forgot to record. That was my fault. But I think the second one, we did have a recording, and we're recording today's as well. I had shared those via LinkedIn. If you want to send me a quick email, I can share those links with you as well.
Great.
Okay, are there any other questions? Folks, feel free to either unmute yourself or type it into the chat window. If you have a question, also if you have a topic of, if you have a suggested topic for the future sessions, please go ahead and let us know. If there are no other questions, then we can go ahead and hear. Hang on, there's another question coming in. I think Emily is typing in. We'll wait another minute. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, I really want to thank Kenneth Steinis from Sensei to share his time and expertise this month with some great topics. I'm looking forward to scheduling these again next month, and so look out for an email from me or from Sensei directly, also on LinkedIn or one of these channels that Kenneth has up. Just keep an eye on it so that you can be aware of what's happening, what we are presenting to you to continuously increase your knowledge around project and portfolio management and build a community. So your feedback is vitally important for us to continue to do this. So share any feedback that you have for improvements. Any constructive feedback is welcome. Okay, so the question I think was sending you the links for the previous sessions as well. I'm happy to do that. You guys want to go ahead and send me a quick email or follow me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to do that as well. So here's my email address here that I'm typing in. I think I forgot an at there, so it's rajan@microsoft.com. All right, so at this time I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and we'll go ahead and end the session here. Thanks again for joining.